Thank you for joining the Doctor Whisperer. I am your host, Sharon Fekete, and I am happy to bring you a show where we talk about the business of medicine. I hope that you enjoy it. Please feel free to share, subscribe, and pass it on. Enjoy the show. Tell me that moment when you decided that you were going to break out of what you've been doing every day for a long time and start your own business.
So from the standpoint of actually being a woman and going through some of my own challenges, I had some issues with infertility, and I was like in this kind of toxic culture that didn't even allow me to take care of myself. You're doing 24-hour shifts and the cortisol and the weight gain and just all of those things where I wasn't able to actually care for myself. It's just something that I'm doing every day for women. I'm trying to help them do that for themselves, and I can't even do it for my own self. So from a personal standpoint, it was something that needed to change.
I love that you have the client, what do you call it? The client specialist?
Client service managers.
Yeah, I love that.
And they are so incredibly gifted. I mean, they're extraordinary managers at managing the VAs, because you have to daily manage the VAs, but also, managing the client expectations and being able to work closely with the medical practices. So, I mean, they're really fantastic. And that's part of our services. It's what we do. We're not just handing you a VA and saying, good luck. We are handing you a full service.
Do you do bookkeeping?
We do, actually. Yeah.
Get it. And it's great. I mean, to know that, one of the biggest things that is outsourced is billing. I recommend that companies outsource their billing. But if you could outsource your billing to a company that's actually trained and knows what they're doing, holy hallelujah, amen. Sign me up.
The event is all about helping you build a practice that you love, that doesn't create burnout. You can scale virtual. I'm going to teach you how to do rock solid group programs. I have some of the best speakers in the world, but it's really going to help us with the marketing, the business, and then open up our minds to things we didn't even know are possible. So the whole theme of the event is to create magic. And when we're in a community where we all are supporting each other, and when we can see that something else is possible, that we can practice and we can use our expertise in other ways, we can create magic together. So in this together live, February 20th, 21st, and 22nd, Orlando, Florida. There is a virtual option available too, because why not? It is going to be an incredible 2.5-day event that is going to blow up your business.
That's why I think the Dr. Whisperer is so salient, because they are not like everyone else.
No.
They're very unique. And I just, living with my mom, growing up with her, I've learned so much about how they view the world. And 70% of my clients now are women. And so I've learned a lot of lessons over the past few years about the experience of women physicians. And I care so much more deeply now than I did before. Now, even seeing some of those horror stories that my mom talked to me about.
I also think that there's a great advantage when you've actually been in it. There's so many consultants today. There's so many advisors today, but they've never been in the system. And added layer of that to have your own mother be the physician. There's so many levels of that. So a lot of people have asked me, like, how do you get referred so much? Well, I have 20 plus years working with doctors. Like that's how. And I only get referred usually through other doctors.
Yeah. And that's a blessing and a curse, right? Because their doctors are really tight knit. But once they trust you, they trust you.
They trust you. Yes, because that is the roadblock sometimes I feel like that people have, that they're not being treated as individuals. And now I'll stop talking so you can.
Yeah. So individuality is all what it's about. Different people, whether it's from different ethnic backgrounds, different beliefs, things they've learned, maybe things that they've seen help or hurt their family members. And so I just can't look at medicine or healthcare as a one size fits all type of thing. And so, that's why we lay everything out on the table. I always like to give people options. I strongly advocate for informed consent, not just consent, but informed consent. You need to be informed before you consent to something. and looking at the different options that are available, talking through them, weighing the risks, weighing the benefits, and then coming up with a plan. Some people like to do things more mainstream. Some people like to do things more alternative. I keep one foot in each boat. And so I'm able to play back and forth, and, people may be at different parts of their lives. Really, I want to meet people where they are at.
Are you still running your medical practice like it's 1990? Well, what about REVA Global Medical Virtual Assistants? A medical virtual assistant, I promise you, is the way to run your medical practice today. Why? Because you can save, thousands of dollars. No more paying for health insurance, no more worrying about office space. You also have trained professionals. These wonderful human beings get trained, and they have a client service manager that makes sure that your VA that you're working with for your practice is hitting all the goals that you need to make sure that your practice is run efficiently and friendly. Check out REVA Global Medical Virtual Assistants today. Are you tired of the one-on-one grind? You want to break free from the brick and mortar practice and work from anywhere? Ready to impact more lives, work less, all while making more money? Sound too good to be true? It's not. You can actually learn how to do all of this and more at the first annual In This Together live event that's happening in Orlando, Florida on February 20th to the 22nd, 2023. Join your host, Dr. Kylie Burton, and other world-class speakers for an event unlike any other you've attended. And it's for practitioners only. These tickets will sell out, so grab yours quickly. We will provide the link to this event in the show notes. Click. We interrupt this awesome podcast to share with you about our sponsor, TIE Technology. TIE Technology was founded with the thought that every customer deserves exceptional customer services. So if you know of any company that has a phone system where the auto attendant doesn't really sound good, you press 1 and you think you're going to go to a live person, but you end up with a broken recording, it's probably time that you call TIE Technology. And if you mention this podcast, you will get the first 3 months for free. So make sure you mention the Dr. Whisperer podcast show. Check them out.
And what I'm seeing, which is even more difficult, is the overprescribing antidepressants and anxiolytics, medication, antipsychotics, it's just piled on top of each other. Mm-hmm. And mental health is not getting better, it's getting worse. Yeah. And people's general pathology, as an internist, I see this, like cancers are going up. And it's that chronic stress, right? If we're not dealing with the source of the problem, which is that trauma perceived, mm-hmm. or whatever it is, macro trauma or micro trauma is how I like to call it. Macro trauma is like that, like sudden, whatever has happened, that's like a true traumatic event that you really need to work through. And then micro traumas over a long period of time that we don't really pay attention to, but they're in the background and they become a part of our fiber and patterns. Yeah. As maybe as children, it's just been a part of the culture and the parenting that we've received, and then we just carry it with us as adults, and that a lot of times translates into addiction is what I see, PTSD is what I see, to a point of no return.
Tell me about, there's only one doctor that's ever listened to me about starting a podcast, and I'm so proud of him. And he's, continued on. It's not easy. This is something, that you have to consistently get guests, you have to prepare for, you have to have microphones and all that stuff. And in the beginning, you're like, oh my God, like who's even going to listen to this? But what has it been like for you to start a podcast, and why did you decide to do that?
Yeah, I wanted to start a podcast for years, and you just get scared, right? You go and you don't call it being scared, right? You don't call it, but having fear, but you procrastinate. You read a book, you get another microphone, and you research about microphones, and you go to a course or a conference, right? And it's I call it productive procrastination, where you feel like you're moving the needle, but you're not, right? You're just running in place. So eventually, I just got started, and my first couple weren't that great. You know, my wife is like, "Oh, you're so monotone, me to sleep." But that's how everything is, right? You can't just get stopped after the first time, right?
Yes.
And a lot of times when you start something, your taste is a lot better than your skill. So you can tell you suck, but you don't know how to fix it, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, over time, that gets better. And, you know, for me, I did a lot of interviews for my business. I talked to a lot of people. And a lot of times I was like, I wish I could record these conversations because I feel that they would be useful for a lot of people to hear. And that's why I started a podcast. I had a blog. I hate writing. Every Tuesday night at
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, every Tuesday night, 10 p.m., I'd be sitting in front of a computer trying to write this so that I could publish in the morning. And I did it, and it was okay, but it was just so much work. It was going against the grain. So the podcast, it just feels a lot smoother. And, you know, I love being on podcasts like yours, and I love talking to people. So it just felt like a much better fit.
You know, there was a need and a purpose for what you do. There was a need and a purpose. We need to have doctors doing peer reviews. That's a need. So put those prejudices away.
That's right. So what we've gotten ourselves into now is a system where the doctors that are left treating people clinically and haven't completely left the industry are so overworked that the documentation just doesn't have the substance that it's supposed to. And that's where peer review really has an opportunity to shine, because patients with comorbidities, patients with treatment complications, patients with multiple areas of injury or multiple times that they've been injured, there's a time and place for those people to have types of care that people wouldn't normally be certified for, or extended treatment where it normally wouldn't be supported. But if you don't have someone that's a caring peer review doctor, that story never gets to be told. So that's really my main objective, is to completely revitalize the peer review industry and to make it a situation where you're still focused on patient care, because that's indirectly what you're doing.
Our goal is to automate those things, make it seamless from start to finish, be able to do that intake online, have it delivered electronically, drop into your patient medical record in the electronic health record that your provider is using. And then when you go into the office, they can pull it up and they're not asking you the questions all over again. Now they're actually just verifying, and then they're able to take the time and drill into some of the areas that are popping out to them as being concerns or red flags. And, it's a much more intelligent engagement and a more personalized engagement, as opposed to just having the care provider ask the rote questions over.
The redundancy at this stage is embarrassing.
Yes, it is. And it's unnecessary, and it's frustrating for everyone.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about because there's been some great technology improvements through the years with being able to provide quality care by having something mobile. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that don't even realize that you can do an X-ray. I mean, I know it because I'm in the industry, but I'm sure there's tons of people that don't even understand what you can actually provide. So why don't you share a little bit about that?
So our X-ray company, imaging company, they do X-ray and ultrasound. So, there's just like any hospital visit, any skilled nursing, there's the mobile X-ray company. We put the order in about 3 to 4 hours or so later. They're able to arrive from the time that I put the order in. It gets read by the radiologist. Within the hour, they send us the results. I also get a phone call from them if there's any critical results. And so it's real-time feedback. And so it's not something that you're waiting for days for. Also, because we don't take insurance, it frees us up from
Prior
charting
authorization.
and prior authorization to get all this stuff done. So you're not waiting days for you to go to a radiology appointment to finally get your chest x-ray done, or you fell and you injured your wrist. Well, we want to be able to determine that, get your referral as soon as we can. But at the same time, we don't have to go see you, fill out a chart, submit it to the insurance company, wait for them to okay it, and then send them out. So it's a very streamlined process.
So if you want to party like it's 1999, but run your medical practice like it's 2022, don't forget to check out REVA Global Medical Virtual Assistants. Don't forget to grab your tickets to the first annual In This Together live event in Orlando, Florida, happening on February 20th to the 22nd, 2023, with your host, Dr. Kylie Burton. Grab your tickets now, link in show notes. So don't forget, if you mention that you've seen the show or listened to it on the podcast, mention Thai Technology and you will get 3 months for free.